of these. It's one of those. Beautiful. What an excellent subject to talk about. Teaching art. Right there. Okay. Gorgeous. Let me tell you about my first year as an art teacher. Well, hello. My name is Rachel, and I just got done teaching my very first year of art. I specifically taught high school, so if you want some tips and tricks on your first year teaching art, or even teaching high school or teaching high school art, then this is the video for you. Here's what I learned in my first year. The first main point is to make a plan, not to plan. What I mean by this is that you definitely do not have to have your full curriculum planned before the first day of school. I start each year with just some creativity tests, shading and blending packets, simple drawing tests, just to see what everyone's ability in art is. Seeing what artistic levels your students are at will help you plan for the next few weeks after that. You can always change up your plans or add more to it. Teaching art is usually very flexible. In my case, I teach Art 1 and Art 2. So for Art 1, I started with all the basic drawing, shading, blending. I used something called Art Bootcamp. That kind of used up the first 8 weeks for me. So that was pretty easy. And of course, you can always add on activities, make sketchbooks a requirement. So you can always say, okay, take out your sketchbooks, we're doing this. It's very, very flexible. The one thing I will say is that your administration probably won't pay very much attention to what you're doing, which can be a pro and a con at the same time. You can be more flexible if the administration is flexible with you, but it might be hard to get materials or get things approved. Teaching art is just not a priority for a lot of schools. At my school, I'm very lucky in that art is actually a required class. Each student has to have at least one art hour in their high school career. Seeing what artistic levels your students are at and then working with them from that got me through like the first few weeks and the first few months. You can always add stuff and change stuff. Another thing is giving students enough time to complete their assignments, but not too much time. Don't let them take advantage of all the time that you give them. Whenever I was in school, I took my time to make everything perfect whenever I was completing art projects. So a lot of my projects did take a lot of time, but most of your students, if you're teaching Art 1 and Art 2, a lot of your students are not going to do that. They're just taking this class because it might be an easy grade. So if you notice some of your students are goofing off and not doing any work for the first few days of the assignment and then just scribbling something down on the due date, there are ways to manage that so they are working every single day. So some ways to manage that are checking the progress every day, maybe giving a new step to a project each day. So every day you can tell them, okay, you need to be done with this step today. You need to be done with this one today. So you can go around and check if they've done their work. You can adjust the times, shorter times for some students, and you'll get to know your students and who really cares about art. What I did my first year is the students that were very serious about it, I kind of just let them turn in projects whenever they were done, as long as it was before the 9 weeks were up, because that's when grades have to go in. It's at the end of the 9 weeks. So I would just tell them, like, look, if you get this project into me at some point before the 9 weeks, then that's fine. I would rarely take off points for like late grades unless it was a student that was always taking advantage of long time periods to do projects and not doing their work every day. So you'll get to know which students are doing what they're supposed to be doing. My third thing about teaching art is that some students will not like art. And that is absolutely fine. I did not like math very much, except for algebra. Weirdly, I didn't like math. I wasn't a big science person, but guess what? I still did my work. And you need to let these kids know, like, okay, I understand you're not too big into art, but I need to see progress. I need to see you focused on something and at least trying. So in art 1 and 2, most of these kids are not going to be turning in like masterpieces, and I do not expect that at all. I am just expecting them to try and put in some effort for each of their projects. I need them to do some kind of work every day and put in effort, and that is all I asked for. In the very beginning, I let them know that, look, I know that not everyone is big into art, and some kids have different artistic levels and abilities, so you really can't compare one kid that's never taken an art class and then another kid that might have been drawing and taking extra art classes since they were 5. You cannot compare their work together, because that kid who's never taken an art class, their effort might be the same as the kid who's just had a lot more practice. Their projects are going to look a lot different, but their effort might be the same as long as they're trying and doing what they need to be doing in your classroom. Just because it's an elective class usually does not mean that they can just sit there and not do their work. You have to put in grades just like any other teacher. So letting them know that, letting them know where you're at, how you're grading them based on effort, and just as long as they're trying, then you should be good. You know, not every piece of art is going to be great, all right? I definitely set a rubric in the beginning. Look, I'm looking for the whole thing to be filled in with color, or I'm looking for the whole object to be shaded and blended. Because if they just turn in an outline of something, that wouldn't be a full grade for me, unless that was the project, is just an outline. Materials and the management of materials. Let them know with every single new material you introduce to them. Let them know how to use it. Let them know how to clean up afterwards, and let them know how to take care of these materials, because art supplies are very expensive. They get expensive, and if you start running out of supplies really quick because they're getting broken, they're getting thrown around, they're not being cleaned, so they're ruined, there needs to be some kind of a management system for that. My first year, I wasn't good on holding them accountable for cleaning their paintbrushes, but this next year, I think I'm going to start with them each having their own paintbrush. That's the one they get to use, and if they lose it, then they have to use like one of the backup kind of messed up paintbrushes, you know. Hopefully that'll be an incentive for them to clean the brushes every single time, or just tell them as a class, like, look, if I find any dirty brushes on this sink, we're not painting tomorrow, we're doing something else. A lot of them do like to paint a lot. The last thing I will say, and I will say this with any subject area, any teaching job, is to form relationships with your students. If you respect them, they will respect you back, and they will work with you instead of against you. All these relationships that you can form, especially as an art teacher, because you will have students come up to you and talk to you, and those relationships are just going to naturally form. This was my favorite part of being an art teacher, and it's the reason why I love my job so much. We can just chill, be zen, happy, create art, chat. It's very nice. It's a good time. It's a good time. Form that positive classroom environment. Make sure everyone is nice and comfortable and happy. Of course, I teach high school. Not everyone is going to be happy in my classroom, but that's okay. All right, it's okay. As long as you try to be positive in your classroom. Personally, I like to play lo-fi music in my art classroom and have them all it's very calming. I've had a lot of teachers come in my classroom and immediately they just tell me, oh, this is calming and zen. I want to stay in here all day long. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I love it. I am so happy that you stopped by to watch this video on my first year as an art teacher, some advice, and why it was the best year ever. If you're an art teacher, leave your advice in the comments. If you have any questions about my experience as an art teacher, leave that in the comments too. I've also done part-time art teaching before. I've taught at an art summer camp before my full-time job. I will be making a video about my journey becoming an art teacher and how I got my job and all of that. So stay tuned, subscribe for more art-related videos, art teacher-related videos, teacher lifestyle-related videos. Stay tuned, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye! Oh. you need one of those. You're looking better already. Ah, little scrub right there. Beautiful. Should I keep these glasses on for the video? Because I kind of like them. Yes, they are prescription.